I'm starting a new video series, maybe, hopefully, where I kind of voice my opinions on stuff, and then I include images of me drawing things in the background to kind of fall in part with my art side and in part with my opinion side, because that's kind of why I started this channel, was to voice injustices and whatnot. So yeah, if you guys like it, tell me, and if you don't, also tell me in the comments. Today I will be talking about, and I apologize for the ums. I know there are plenty like that. I'm not a very good public speaker yet. I'm still working on it, so I'll try my best. Yeah, let's go. So AI, most of you have heard about it. I'm talking specifically, the image AI generators. So primarily, DALL-E and whatnot that can, you type something in, it'll generate something that is ridiculously, in some ways, super, super, super good. Sometimes I've done it and it's not been very good, but most of the time the AI art, quote unquote, is very solid, which is, in my opinion, an issue. I'll set up myself here first. I am an artist. I've been doing art for however long I can think of, and AI scares me, quite honestly. Not in the, it's gonna turn into death robots and kill us all. That would, if that ever happens, it's gonna happen, 4,000 years in the future, but it's the image generators. So why am I afraid of it? And why should everyone be concerned about it? And why, especially artists, should we all be concerned about it? So AI generators actually use a ton of energy, and that is a big issue because the carbon emissions of said AI generators could be put to better use, right? It's producing so much energy, and in turn is needing the fuel, and the fuel is then being pumped back into the atmosphere, and carbon emissions, that's just what it happens. And so the issue with that is, while there is AI that is pretty solid, the art generators literally serve practically no purpose aside from fun. And so prioritizing that like companies do and trying to further it will just make the carbon emissions even worse, which is awful because they're already about 2 to 3% of the whole world's carbon emissions, which sounds like very little, but that is a ton in the grand scheme of things. That is a ton, 2 to 3%. And it has grown, AI image generators have basically grown 100% since, I want to say 2019 to 2020. That's when they were starting to emerge. So that's just a big issue, right? And that I think is something that non-artists can relate to more. But what people don't really understand, and for me as an artist, is art isn't a robotic thing. It's not something I think robots should do. It's not something I think robots can do. Because it is innately human. It is an 110% human thing, right? Art is to convey a message. AI cannot think of the message that it is trying to convey in a piece of work, and therefore cannot create art. It can create images, but it cannot create art. So because the human being that is thinking of a prompt is the one that is thinking of the idea, the AI itself cannot actually think of nuance and interest. And because they can't think of the idea, it then doesn't make it art, because art is only art because it is there to convey an idea. It is only there to convey something. And that can be as degenerate as humanly possible, or it can be as beautiful as humanly possible. But it conveys an idea regardless. And AI cannot do that because it cannot think of the way to do it. And so that's the first part of it. The second part of it is, at times AI just looks like garbage. It's getting better, which is kind of terrifying, but it's it does not look good. It just doesn't at all. And it's just disappointing that people put so much trust in it and people prioritize it. And, everywhere online you see people, it's fine to experiment with it. And I don't really have an issue with people using it for fun to a certain degree. But at the same time, it's kind of like a spit in the face of artists to, I'm 17. I've spent, I'm going to say 13 out of those 17 years working very, very hard on my art and dealing with the struggles and the enjoyment of it and all the parts of it, which is a lot. And other artists do more than me. Some do less, but they still try and they still put in work and they still have to deal with ostracization from themselves and from other people. And so when you can just do quote unquote what I can do within minutes, I know it's petty, but it feels very, just like a F you. Like, why are you doing this when you can ask artists to do it, or hear me out here, you can spend the time to learn and then people will understand. And in my opinion, art is already underappreciated. Artists are already underappreciated. And I apply this to musical artists, film, all forms of art, even poems. Like, that's art. Writing is art, right? AI can't do any of that, A. And I think the ease of use and the novelty is very attractive to people, because I could see someone wanting to get into art but not wanting to go through the turmoil, the difficulty of actually learning a hobby, because it is very difficult. I'm not going to say that it's not. And so I understand it, but it's hard for me to respect it, especially the people that claim that they are artists because they can type prompts in a thing. You wouldn't call someone an artist if they typed into Google and looked up a picture of a dog and then posted it and said, "Look at me, I looked up this picture of a dog. I'm an artist. I made that because I looked it up." Like, no. You are a human being that can type prompts into something, and then the AI will essentially steal from other people and make it for you, but you aren't an artist. And I don't see that very much. A lot of the people that do use AI to make art are honest about it, and they don't call themselves artists. But regardless, they're still using it, and they're still making it common stance. And like, the amount of profiles and logos that I see, like these smaller brands and smaller creators and all this sort of stuff use, it's a lot, and it's very disheartening. I understand that it's expensive to hire artists, but I kind of wish that they would just try to make their own, logo, even if it was crappy, because at least it's human. I hate seeing the weird messed up fingers of a person in their profile picture. It just drives me up the wall. Another thing about AI that really I think this in the most sense scares me is my job security, right? I plan to go to college. I plan to go to an art college and just do art for the rest of my life, hopefully. I'm not saying I'm not going to, get a job as like a barista or something while I'm in college. I'll probably do something like that. But I hope to live a creative life where I can create for the rest of my life. And I don't want AI to completely clothesline me. It feels like I'm, when I was a kid and there was none of this worry, I just had to deal with myself and the pushback from me as a person, and worrying about self-consciousness and stuff like that. But now I have to worry about robots doing my work, and doing it, quite honestly, horribly. It's so obviously AI, and I know it's going to get better, but I don't want it to, regardless. But so I'm so worried about that, and it makes me not want to go to college, and it makes me not want to keep putting in effort. Because like I said earlier, art is hard. Learning art is hard. And even with how much experience I have, it's still incredibly difficult to learn new things. And so why should I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going to a college, or like $100,000 going to a college and working my absolute ass off if when I leave, I'm not going to be able to get a job. It's really very concerning. And the lack of care from, government officials, like it's not even like they don't care. It's just like no one knows. Like no one knows. Artists are like the only ones that understand it. And we are such a small and quiet minority that it is very difficult for us to get a voice in the government. I'm not saying like AI image generators should be outlawed, but I'm saying the practice of using them for profit should 100% be outlawed or in some way restricted, because I've even seen it in these like multi-million-dollar games like COD, Black Ops 6, wonderful game. So many of the cosmetics are AI generated. So many of the like backgrounds and the emblems and shit are like totally AI generated. And you can look it up. There's something with a Santa that they did for Christmas or like the holidays, and it had like 6 fingers, and it was not supposed to have 6 fingers, So it's so obviously AI generated. And to think that they have all the money in the world and they cannot just hire an artist to draw, it's like sickening. Like, because what is stopping every single brand from doing that if it's so widely accepted? So that's kind of my gripes. And I just kind of wanted to get a video out there about that, because I think for non-artists, it's very difficult to understand and sympathize, which is fine. I'm not saying that is an issue. Like, I understand it, and that's why I'm talking about it, because it is important for people to know. Because again, it's not a thing that I think most people consider. It's just kind of like, oh, there's AI art and then there's art, and they're just going to coexist. Like, I don't see that being a possibility. And maybe they will, and maybe it'll be fine, but I think we need to be more conscious of it, because it's already having an effect on me, and I've seen it already have an effect on other artists and musicians, and it's just really, in my opinion, not okay at all. So yeah, thank you for listening or watching or whatever, if you did, to the end. I appreciate that. I'm trying this new thing. If you guys, I think I talked about it in the start of the video. If you guys don't like it, tell me. If you do, let me know. It seems like I got a lot of positive talk on my first video, and some people were asking for more. So give the people what they want, right? So yeah, thank you again. Bye.